guys, it's Ryan. Welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. This week we are cooking out of this Pioneer Woman Winter of 2020 magazine. As you guys know, I absolutely love the Pioneer Woman and I love her recipes. I feel like they are super family friendly. They are not pretentious. They don't have a million ingredients. They don't tend to take too long, and they're good, like hearty, rib sticking kind of recipes and dinners. So this week we are making a chicken parm pasta, we're making fancy fish sticks, and we are making a French onion chicken casserole. And I could not be more excited about all of the recipes. It was very Chandler from Friends. Could you be more excited? Anyway, if you guys are Friends watchers, comment down below. Anyway, as you guys know, I am a big proponent of dinner being on the table in 30 minutes, being nutritious and delicious for my family. So hopefully these recipes won't disappoint. For those of you guys that are new around here, my name is Ryan. I am a full-time working mom. I have a 10-month-old son, and my husband and I live here in the suburbs of Chicago. I like to make these What's for Dinner videos to help inspire you and give you some thoughts on what you guys can make for your families for dinner. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you guys the recipes, the ingredients you're going to need for this, and then I will show you making them, and then of course the finished product. All right, talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, as you guys know, this is the magazine we are cooking out of this week, the Pioneer Woman's Winter of 2020 magazine, and here is tonight's recipe. It's this chicken parm pasta. And here is what you are going to need for this one. You are, of course, going to need chicken. You're going to need some garlic, salt, and some crushed red pepper flakes. You are going to need, as the base for your sauce, a large can of, I think this is 28 ounces, of crushed tomatoes. You will need some spaghetti or bucatini, olive oil, some panko breadcrumbs. You will need some pearl mozzarella as well as Parmesan cheese. And alongside that, I'm going to go ahead and serve a Caesar salad just from this pre-made chopped salad kit. I take the corner cutting when I can when I'm making a nice homemade dinner, then easy salad for the win. And then for my husband, I will also make a couple slices of garlic bread because I don't believe he believes that it is an Italian dinner without garlic bread. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this into some chicken parm pasta. As always, recipe and magazine links will be in the description box down below. To start this one, you're going to want to make the breadcrumb topping that's going to go on this pasta. So go ahead and put 1 tablespoon of olive oil in the skillet with a half a cup of panko breadcrumbs and toast those up, and then set them in a bowl to cool for a few minutes. You're then going to go ahead and prep your garlic. You need 4 cloves of garlic for this that you're going to thinly slice. I went ahead and minced mine. Next, I prepped the basil. I think I forgot this when I told you guys the ingredients, but you are going to need a half a cup of loosely packed fresh basil leaves as well. So I went ahead and just rough chopped those. Here my husband is prepping the chicken. He is taking a package of chicken breasts and just cutting them into kind of bite-sized pieces. You're then going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to a skillet, get the chicken in, and cook it until it's browned over medium-high heat for about 3 minutes. Next up, I went ahead and put a fourth of a cup of Parmesan into that breadcrumb mixture when it was cooled and stirred it up. After your chicken's browned, get that out of the bowl. You're then going to go ahead and add 2 more tablespoons of oil to the skillet. You're then going to stir in your 4 cloves of garlic and cook that until it just turns golden. You're then going to start building your sauce, which means sprinkling in your red pepper flakes, adding your 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, adding 1 cup of water, a half a teaspoon of salt, then bringing this to a simmer and cooking it until it's thickened for about 15 minutes. Once your sauce is thickened, you're going to want to add back in your chicken as well as the half a cup of basil leaves that we chopped earlier. I then added my 1 pound of thin spaghetti that I cooked according to the package directions. You're going to want to stir that around until it's coated in your tomato sauce. You're then going to go ahead and add the remaining half a cup of Parmesan cheese, and then you are going to add your 8 ounces of mini mozzarella balls. This is supposed to be once you've taken it off the heat. I had turned off the stove but not taken it off the heat, and it turned out just fine. You're then going to toss it one more time and then serve this up with the panko breadcrumb mixture on top. This pasta was really good. I actually enjoyed it, so did my husband, and I would definitely make it again if you want a chicken parm pasta. Hey guys, it's Ryan. Welcome back to another night of this week's What's for Dinner. As you know, we are cooking this week out of the Pioneer Woman's Winter Magazine. Tonight we are going to be making Parmesan crusted fish sticks as well as glazed carrots. Basically, we're making fancy fish sticks and carrots, and I'm pretty excited about it. I got some really good looking fish at the grocery store this week, so I think these are going to turn out well. So let me go ahead and show you guys the recipe as well as the ingredients you're going to need to make this one. Okay, as you guys know, this is the magazine we're cooking out of this week, the Pioneer Woman Winter Magazine. And here is the Parmesan fish sticks with glazed carrots recipe. And here's what you're gonna need for the recipes. So for the actual fish sticks, you're going to need fish. The recipe calls for cod or haddock. They had neither at my store, but they did have orange roughy, which I think is gonna be a fine substitute. I think any white fish would do. You will need parsley, some breadcrumbs, flour, salt, pepper, eggs, Parmesan, butter, and some olive oil. And then for the carrots, you're gonna need some brown sugar, some apple cider vinegar, some dill weed, and then you will also need butter and salt for the carrots. And then I am going to go ahead and serve that alongside this pastaroni chicken, just side, quick, easy, simple side, because the fish and the carrots are enough cooking for me for tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. My husband's actually going to help me out making both, I think, tonight. So you will probably see him make a guest appearance at some point, and I'm sure you can hear my kid playing in the background as well. You might catch a glimpse of him. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Okay, to start this one out, you are going to make a breading station, which is going to involve 3 different bowls. The first one, you're going to put a half a cup of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, and a half a teaspoon of black pepper into a dish, and then stir that up. The next one is going to have 1.5 cups breadcrumbs, a half a cup of fresh parsley that you've chopped, and 3 tablespoons salted butter that you've melted, as well as a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. You're then going to mix up that one. And then in your last dish, you're going to add 3 large eggs that you are going to mix up. You're then going to get started breading your fish, which you should have cut into 1-inch strips. You're going to start by dunking it in the seasoned flour, then into the egg mixture, then into the breadcrumb mixture, and make sure you generously coat at each stage so that you're getting as much breading on as possible. I then pop this onto a baking sheet that I had prepared with some cooking spray, and then my husband clearly is doing this for me, got all the pieces of fish breaded and coated, and then got these into a 450-degree oven to cook for 10 minutes on the first side, and then you'll see later we'll flip it and cook for 5 to 8 minutes on the second side. Next up, I needed to prep my carrots. First up was peeling them, and then I chopped them into like a carrot stick looking thing. I then got these carrots started cooking. You're going to add 2 tablespoons of salted butter to a pan, 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar, a half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and a half a cup of water to a skillet over medium-high heat. You're then going to bring that to a simmer and add your carrots until the carrots start to soften. This should take about 4 to 6 minutes. You're going to want to cover them at this stage. Once the carrots have softened, you're going to remove the cover and cook until the water evaporates and the carrots are tender and glazed, which should take about 5 to 7 minutes more. At the end of the process, once your carrots are glazed, you're going to add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. As you can see here, we took the fish out after 10 minutes of cooking, flipped them over, and then got them back into the oven to finish cooking. These fish sticks were good. They weren't my favorite, but my husband actually loved these. I think this was his favorite from this week's What's for Dinner, so give them a try if you're looking for fish sticks. Hey guys, it's Ryan. Welcome back to another night of this week's What's for Dinner. As you guys know, we are cooking this week out of, I can see I have a, can you guys see? Oh, there she is coming down the hallway. My dog's coming to join us for this. Anyway, we are making tonight another night of this week's What's for Dinner, which is out of the Pioneer Woman's Winter 2020 magazine. Tonight we are making French onion chicken casserole. This recipe totally goes against my norm, which is a 30-minute meal. I think it actually takes an hour and 40 minutes to prepare, but the recipe looked really good, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. So I will go ahead and show you guys the recipe, the ingredients you'll need, and then let's get started cooking this one, because clearly it's going to take long enough. I don't need to add time gabbing to you guys. All right, let's go. Okay, as you guys know, here is the magazine we're cooking out of this week, and here is the French onion chicken casserole recipe. And here are the ingredients that you're going to need for this one. You will need butter and flour to make the base of your sauce. And then most of the sauce is going to be beef broth. It does also call for wine, which I'm going to skip. Seasoning for this, you'll need salt, pepper, and some thyme. If you guys have fresh, even better, but I have dried and we'll use that. You need 5 onions as well as mushrooms. The recipe actually calls for cremini. I prefer white mushrooms or button mushrooms, so I'm just going to go ahead and use those. It does call for, the recipe calls for a shortcut using rotisserie chicken, which I have right here. My husband nicely picked that for me, picked the carcass, so I have the white meat chicken from that rotisserie chicken. You also need a baguette as well as Gruyere cheese, which, as you guys know, is the traditional topper for French onion soup. And then I am not convinced my husband's actually going to like this recipe, so I'm going to make some biscuits to go alongside that to kind of bulk this out in case he doesn't like it. So I am going to go ahead and get started cooking. Okay, last up was the French onion chicken casserole. As I mentioned, this did take a while to prepare, and I was talking to my mom on the phone while I was making this, so some of the steps are a little bit out of order. I'll tell you the right way to do it instead of what you might see me doing, but this is 100% worth it. This was my favorite of the week, and my mom actually loved this as well. This casserole was just fantastic, so make it if you have time. So the first thing you're going to do is prep your mushrooms. You're going to melt a tablespoon of butter in a large pot over medium-high heat and add your 10 ounces of mushrooms. While those were browning, I chopped up or thinly sliced the 5 onions. Once your mushrooms have finished browning, you're going to remove those to a plate. You're then going to add 4 tablespoons of butter to the same pot and get that melted. Once it's melted, you're going to add the onions and cook them, stirring frequently until they're golden for about 20 to 25 minutes. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut for this. You just have to sit here and babysit onions, which is why I chose to call my mom during this time, because you're basically captive at the stove until your onions look like this. I did this part a little bit out of order. What you want to do is add your mushrooms back to the pan and then add 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme, as well as a half a teaspoon of kosher salt and some black pepper. You're then going to go ahead and sprinkle in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour and let that toast for a minute. And then you're going to increase your heat a little bit and add 3 cups of low-sodium beef broth. And then if you're using wine, add a half a cup of dry white wine. I just added another half a cup of beef broth. You then want to add your 2 cups of rotisserie chicken and cook this until it's thickened for about 3 minutes. Next up, it's all about assembling this. So first, you're going to ladle enough of the onion chicken mixture into the baking dish to cover the bottom. You're then going to arrange half of 1 long baguette that you've sliced into 1/2-inch pieces onto your layer of chicken. Then you're going to ladle another half of the onion chicken mixture over the baguettes and push the baguette slices to make sure they're soaking up the chicken. You then want to add 1 cup of Gruyere and 1/4 cup of Parmesan. You're going to add the rest of your baguette slices in a single layer and then ladle on the rest of your chicken onion mixture. You're then going to sprinkle the remaining 1.5 cups of Gruyere and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese over the top. Then you're going to go ahead and get this into a 425-degree oven. You're going to want to cover it with foil, tenting it so that the foil doesn't touch the cheese, and cook it until it's bubbly for about 20 minutes. You're then going to uncover it and bake it until the top is brown for about 15 more minutes. Once this comes out of the oven for the second time, you're going to want to let it stand for about 10 minutes before serving it. As I said, I went ahead and served a serving of the casserole alongside a biscuit. This dish was phenomenal. This is a keeper recipe and going in my binder for sure. It was so flavorful and delicious, and my whole house just smelled like delicious French onion soup.